Have you ever dreamed of finding something so magical it could change your life forever? Imagine waking up one morning and discovering a gift so rare, so dazzling, that the whole world would want to see it. That's exactly what happened to a humble farmer named Eli and his gentle-hearted wife, Clara. They lived in a small wooden cottage nestled at the edge of a quiet green valley. The hills around them rolled softly like waves frozen in time, and the wind seemed to whisper secrets to the trees, secrets only the birds could understand. Life was simple. They didn't own much, just a tidy garden, a creaky old barn, a handful of animals, and the warmth of each other's laughter. Every morning, they shared steaming mugs of tea on the porch, while the first light of day stretched over their fields, turning the dew into 1,000 tiny diamonds. Among their animals was a rather curious goose. She didn't honk loudly like the others, nor was she the fluffiest in the flock, but her feathers shimmered faintly when sunlight touched them, as if dusted with gold powder. Clara named her Luna because on nights when the moon hung full and bright, Luna's feathers seemed to glow like silver spun into light. One chilly autumn morning, as mist curled low over the grass and the barn smelled of fresh hay, Clara went to collect the morning eggs. Her fingers reached into Luna's nest, expecting something warm and light. But instead, they touched something heavy and cold. When she pulled it out, her breath caught. Her eyes widened, and she gasped so loudly that Eli dropped the bucket he was carrying and ran to her side. It was an egg, but not like any egg they'd ever seen. It was solid, heavy, pure, gleaming gold. Eli turned it over in his work-worn hands. "It can't be real," he whispered, staring at it like it might vanish. But it was real. And the next morning, there was another, and another the day after that. Each day, Luna laid a single, perfect, golden egg. At first, Eli and Clara could hardly believe their luck. They sold one egg to repair the leaky roof, another to buy warm coats for the winter, and another to share food with neighbors who had little. Their village school got new books, and children would giggle with delight just to see Luna waddling around the yard, her feathers glowing softly in the sun. But slowly, something began to change. Eli started locking the barn at night. Clara stopped chatting with her friends at the market. At the dinner table, they no longer spoke about the weather or the planting season. Instead, they talked about gold, and safes, and secrets. Their eyes, once warm with kindness, now flickered with something sharper. One evening, with a storm grumbling on the horizon and candlelight dancing across the walls, Eli leaned toward Clara and whispered, "What if there are more golden eggs inside her?" Clara's spoon paused midway to her lips. "You mean all at once?" "If we didn't have to wait," he said slowly, "we could be rich. Immediately." The next morning, before the sun had risen, they crept into the barn. Luna blinked sleepily at them, tilting her head with the quiet trust of a creature that had never known harm. Eli's hands trembled. Clara bit her lip. But together, they made a choice that would change everything. They searched the straw, their hearts pounding. They looked again and again, desperate for what they thought they deserved, but there were no more golden eggs, and Luna was gone. The barn felt emptier than they could have imagined. They buried her beneath the great oak tree by the stream, the place where she loved to rest in the afternoon shade. The air felt colder after that. The gold they had once held so tightly no longer seemed to shine. Days passed, then months. The golden eggs were sold, the money spent. The roof leaked again, the clothes wore thin, and the things they'd bought with their treasure? They brought no comfort, only reminders of what they had lost. One crisp evening, Eli stood alone by the oak tree, watching the water swirl gently below. His voice was soft, almost swallowed by the wind. "We had everything," he said. "We just didn't know it." From that day on, they returned to the life they had before the gold, planting seeds in the garden, mending broken tools, and finding joy in small things. But they never stopped missing Luna. And every now and then, on nights when the moonlight spilled across the valley and the leaves whispered like a lullaby, they thought they could hear the faint flutter of wings near the old oak tree. Because sometimes, the most precious treasures aren't the ones you can hold in your hands or lock away in a box. They're the ones you care for, cherish, and never take for granted. So, what would you have done if Luna was yours? Would you have waited patiently or reached for more? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know. Like, comment, and subscribe for more magical tales. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a story that touches your heart.